There's huge news that is going off right now as this is the update that you have officially been asking for. Let me just say something. Kash Patel has done an amazing job. I'm sick of all these people giving him crap. The amount of bravery it takes Kash Patel and the FBI to release video and pictures of the alleged shooter is astronomical in the kind of police work we expect from the FBI. They need to take a victory lap. They've done an amazing work relying on the public to do the work for them. It's just like, you're doing great stuff, Kash Patel. In fact, Kash Patel, if you are not busy today, I would greatly appreciate it if you stop by my local Chuck E. Cheese. I would like to offer you $20 worth of tokens. You don't get that at any other show online. Come to the nearest Chuck E. Cheese, and I want to surprise you with $20 worth of tokens for your hard work. Steven Anderson, what's up, Swill? How we doing on this lovely afternoon? What did we find out? We find out that the Charlie Kirk shooting suspect confessed on a Discord group chat saying, "Hey guys, I have bad news for you all. It was actually me at the UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all this. I'm surrendering through a sheriff friend in a few moments. Thanks for the good times and the laughs." We were told over and over again on Discord. For many of you that don't know what Discord is, it's just like a server that people can chat on, video chat on, communicate back and forth, create groups. What's up, Jessica? Have fun, make friends. And so he had an entire Discord of, we're finding up to 20 people, probably more. The shooter, Tyler Robinson, was talking and communicating with a minimum of 20 people online. This wasn't some kind of lone wolf that just decided to do this on their own. People knew. And Discord seems to be covering it up. There was a report that came out not too long ago, allegedly, saying that Discord looked into the servers and they found no wrongdoing. And there was no evidence whatsoever. And then we find out today that it was actually in a Discord group chat that he actually confesses to actually murdering Charlie Kirk. Discord, what are you trying to hide? I cannot emphasize this enough for those of you that are older or don't know what Discord is, don't understand what online culture really looks like. Online culture is a huge problem in this country. And you see all these older people fixating on MSNBC talking points or just the New York Times and stuff like that. Yeah, they are part of a problem, but there's a bigger problem that is going to be unearthed for a lot of people about some of these Reddits and Discord communities and other communities online that get together and that are extremely violent, and they talk about very violent things, and they're not held accountable whatsoever. And we have a lot of videos, evidence of that just in this show as well. How are we all feeling on this day? Get in the chat and let me know. So Fox News breaks the whole Discord chat wide open.
All right, breaking right now, reports of a confession posted on Discord from Charlie Kirk's suspected assassin hours before, after the murder, but hours before his father turned him in to authorities in Utah. This is Washington.
Raul says, I'm old and use Discord. I know. There's a lot of older guys that use Discord. Discord is great, but there's also communities online, and we're finding out new information that I'm going to dive a little deeper on tonight, talking about how there was his alleged boyfriend, trans woman, was a part of a very violent arming Trans-Tifa membership group in Salt Lake City. I'll get more into that a little later.
Post reporting on this at this point. Justice correspondent David Spunt joining me now live from Washington. Hi, David.
Hi, David. Hi, Martha. About 2 hours before he was turned into authorities, this according to the Washington Post. We are working to independently confirm this as well, but the Washington Post says that Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old suspect charged in Charlie Kirk's murder, confessed, and I want to read this according to the Washington Post, writing on Discord, that social media chat group that the FBI says he used, quote, "Hey guys, I have bad news for you all. It was me."
And let me just say something to Tyler Robinson. Bro, that receding hairline is not going to be fixed with that kind of come over. Let me just say something. Oh God, it's always in the eyes, isn't it? It's always in the eyes.
At UVU yesterday.
Again, I'm not, look, as somebody who is also part of the big forehead community on the internet, it's not going to help. Maybe we need to do a study on receding hairlines and its links to terrorism.
I'm sorry.
Trying to keep it light. Trying to keep it light.
Sorry for all of this. This coming from the Washington Post. Now, this comes as DOJ officials began late last week and over the weekend looking at the potential for at least one federal charge. No guarantee they'll get there. A department spokesperson declined comment, but a source familiar said investigators are not ruling anything out at this time.
Apparently, this guy is going to be pleading not guilty, which will be interesting to see what actually comes from this sort of thing. Especially because we're finding out today that the kid is also on suicide watch. I swear to God, dude, if this mother effer does something stupid and Epstein's himself, I'm gonna lose my mind, because I think we're gonna find out that there's a lot of people connected to this kid. I think we're going to find out a lot of people are connected to this kid. And in fact, Kash Patel just this morning talks with Senator Hawley about how many people were a part of his little Discord group and how they're all being now investigated. Thank God. Women can Raul says women can't write their name in the snow. That is true, though. That is true. You can't pee in the snow. That is true. Up to 20 people. Here we go. Here is this is Hawley, Senator Hawley, talking to Kash Patel just this morning.
The FBI investigating the Kirk assassination as part of this broader pattern of anti-religious, anti-Christian violence.
We are investigating Charlie's assassination fully and completely, and running out every lead related to any allegation of broader violence, and we're producing results on that we'll disclose when appropriate.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Let me just ask you a few questions about that, if I could.
Thank you. Please do.
Reports have suggested that the FBI is investigating a broader network of groups that may have had some knowledge of the shooter's plans. Can you give us any details on that, following up what you already said in public? How's the FBI working to find other potential accomplices, folks who may have known about the shooter's plans,
yes,
folks who may have encouraged him? Any update on any of that?
So in terms of what we do for an interrogation perspective, we go and reach out to the family and community immediately. And we've conducted those investigations and interrogations with local law enforcement, and we're continuing to do that because those closest to the suspect are going to hopefully know the most about the suspect and his beliefs and his ideology. On top of that, unfortunately, it has been leaked that there was a Discord chat, and for those unfamiliar with it, it's a gaming chat room online that the suspect participated in. So what we're doing, we've already done, is serve legal process, not just on Discord, so that the information we gathered is sustained and held in a evidentiary posture that we could use in prosecution should it be decided to do so.
Good.
And we're also going to be investigating anyone and everyone involved in that Discord chat.
Okay, very good.
Good.
I see the public reports that the Discord thread had as many as 20 additional users. It sounds like you're trying to run down all of that to see if that's accurate, who else may have been on that thread, what they may have known. Is that fair to say?
It's a lot more than that, and we're running them all down.
It's a lot more than 20?
Yes, sir.
And you're running all of that to ground?
Every single one.
Yeah, fantastic.
That's a lot of people complicit in a potential murder. Yeah, kids, just in, if somebody is talking about murdering somebody and then actually does it, and then you don't report on it, you're part of it. Sorry, you're just part of it. I know it's just memes and just fun online, but if someone is actually pushing violence and then they violently do it, or they're just pushing violence and you don't actually report them, you're part of the problem. Violet says, did not expect them to call it the anti-Christian aspect. Yes, Hawley today talking to Kash Patel. I listened to that majority of the Kash Patel and Hawley exchanges, and Hawley was talking about how it seems interesting that there's all these shooters that are focusing on Christian valued places, Turning Point USA, pro-life clinics, and Christian schools, and nobody's talking about it. In fact, the FBI a couple years ago was pushed to investigate right-wing extremism in places like Turning Point USA and also Catholic churches. There's a little weird narrative going on right now. They're using this one study from the ADL talking about right-wing extremism, and how ADL factors in right-wing extremism, they put a lot of different categories in to make it seem like it's all right-wing. So if you're just anti-government, you're also part of the right-wing. They are lying about the statistics. See, statistics aren't always correct when you're using the wrong data. It's not viable. And we're watching that in real time. You're seeing the Democrats just lie and lie and lie, and talking about how right-wing extremism is the biggest problem in this country. I would bear to guess that a lot of this trans-tifa, this Antifa violence is being factored in right-wing because white people equals right-wing and for a lot of these Democrats. Remember the Zim Zerb cult last year? Honestly, at this point, no, I don't. I don't know. Apparently, there was also a death note that was left at the condo where he lived with his partner. It's his trans boyfriend, girlfriend. There was a death note, apparently. And apparently that note was all of a sudden disappeared, or was like broken in half, or something bad happened to that note, but they were able to find some pieces of note, which is very interesting. Kash Patel on Fox and Friends, which is always the most exclusive place to drop all this stuff about Charlie Kirk. What's going on in Fox and Friends? Do people watch Fox and Friends? Why are we dropping all these exclusives on Fox and Friends instead of just throwing it on Twitter? Kash Patel, you don't have to go on Fox and Friends. Just, maybe throw up a video of you talking to the American people, or throw up a tweet or something like that.
Did he write a written note before the assassination attempt? That's what the governor said yesterday. And what did that say, if you could share?
So what I'm able to say, I'm sorry. So what I'm able to say is, I addressed it partially earlier, is that the written note, we believe, what did exist, and we have evidence to show what was in that note, which is, and I'm going to summarize, basically saying, the suspect wrote a note saying, I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. That note was written before the shooting. Evidence of its existence, we now have learned, existed before the shooting, was in the location, in the suspect and partner's home. But we have since learned that the note, even though it has been destroyed, we have found forensic evidence of the note, and we have confirmed what that note says because of our aggressive interview posture at the FBI.
The FBI has done a lot of strange things, interesting things, and there's been this weird phenomenon online of them patting themselves on the back for this whole thing. I feel like, if anything, this just shows the power of the internet in a lot of ways, that when you release information to the internet, you allow autistic people, or people like me, or people like you that are chronically online, to start to do the work and actually figure out where this person is. Because the bad thing and the great thing about the internet, but the great thing is that a lot of these people that do violent things or that are criminals tend to have a very large online footprint, except if you're going to go after and shoot the president. Then you have no online footprint whatsoever. I don't know what the hell that's all about when it comes to Ruth. But old Christians, why old folks? He got the crazy teens that killed people in are you talking about the Zim Zerb cult, the bright sun saucer? I don't really know too much about that, man. But the weirdest thing for me, I'm just excited that Kash Patel is getting down to the bottom of this. And Kash Patel, from us at the Derek O'Shea Show to you, I'll see you in Valhalla.
Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk. Rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Which was such an incredibly weird thing to say, but he's a Christian, bro. I don't know, Kash Patel saying I'll see you in Valhalla might be one of the most cringy things I've ever seen to come out of this man's mouth, and I'm glad somebody's memeing it a little bit. So, what we found out today as well, which was a very interesting thing, is remember that old guy that got arrested and they thought was the original shooter of Charlie Kirk? Turned out to be 71-year-old man, George Zinn, who was screaming, "I shot him, now shoot me." actually came out and confessed that he did it on purpose to distract the police. So now he's currently being charged with obstructing of justice. This story of him, either he's deranged, crazy, psychotic, crazy, or just wanted to do it for the memes. I have no idea what's going on. This is definitely a weird aspect of the entire story. And I'm seeing a lot of people online trying to put together pieces as opposed to just blaming Tyler Robinson. A lot of people online cannot cope with the idea of just one person taking the shot. They think that there's lots of people involved. And I think as time proceeds, we'll see whether that's true or not. It's weird to see that people are coming to conclusions like they already know all the information. Again, as always on this show, I am not black and white. I'm not bipolar. I'm not going to tell you what I think is the absolute truth. We don't know yet. Give it some time. Give it some space. Let it breathe a little bit. What we do know is a man named Tyler Robinson did confess on Discord, apparently, also had a note, and was seen at the crime. And is in jail right now and is currently on suicide watch, is all things to keep in mind. Google says it was a Zizan cult. Yeah, I just saw that. This MFer I read said he known the area for stunts. Oh, Zinn. George Zinn is a man in the area for stunts. Yeah, that's what I've heard too. I've heard, what's his name? George Zinn is a man for stunts and also just being crazy. But get these people in jail, dude. You need to go to jail for lying about shooting Charlie Kirk, even if you didn't. If you were to create a diversion with the hopes of them being ran away, dude, you need to go to jail for a very long time. You're crazy. Maybe the old man was one of his Discord buddies. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt, but that would be a very interesting plot twist. I just assume a majority of the people in this Discord are people in their early 20s, late teens that are part of that whole left-wing people group that probably played video games online. A lot of people don't realize that the Gen Z culture, Gen Alpha, stuff like that, these younger kids don't have a lot of one-on-one connection with real people. And a lot of their friends are completely online. And that's how they get radicalized. They're not reading New York Times and becoming radicalized. They're being radicalized by each other. It's like them spurring each other on and trying to do it for the memes, but it creates a lot of paranoia and anger on this side of the aisle that is not going addressed. A lot of people talked about this, but some people didn't talk about that two men actually got caught placing a bomb on Fox 13 media vehicle outside of Salt Lake City just yesterday. Habib Nasser, what's this guy's name? Habib Nasser, 58 years old, and Abdul Justice Ahmad Nasser, 31 years old. Reportedly, they were booked as white men. See, this is why you don't take statistics very seriously at all. If it looks like an apple, it probably is an apple just because statistics say it's not an apple. They were reported as white men, and those are good old-fashioned American Irish names. I think this is a very scary moment for me in my eyes, is that I think a lot of countries that hate us are going to take advantage of this anger with Charlie Kirk and stuff like that to create more political violence because they want to see America fall to the ground. And that's a very scary thought to even think about. Now, yesterday on the Megyn Kelly show, she interviewed...
Got to ask you this.
She interviewed Dan Bongino. And Dan Bongino gave us a lot of information, but most importantly, D, what is your spiritual animal costume? A setter? I don't know. I don't have a spiritual animal costume. Should I have one? But Dan Bongino was interviewed by Megyn Kelly yesterday and gave us some information that it turns out this kid is actually on suicide watch. Just reporting that makes me so nervous even knowing that. But of course he is. If you know the state is going to potentially take you out, you're probably a threat to yourself.
Got to ask you this, and you know why, but is he being watched so that there can be no suicide?
Yes, but the cameras are not all working, and we'll come on Fox News and say it was definitely suicide.
Why? But is he being watched so that there can be no suicide?
Yeah, that's what we've been told from local officials who have custody over him right now, that he is in fact on watch. That is obviously going to remain a concern.
Yeah, it is a concern. And it should be a concern for the government. If this kid ends up offing himself somehow in this jail cell, the conspiracy theorists are going to have a field day. And for good reason, because nobody trusts the FBI, even with the good guys in charge. Okay? So you make sure that doesn't happen, or more news reports are being posted about this sort of thing. A huge thing that just got dropped as well is that Luigi Mangione is reportedly no longer facing terrorism charges. Okay? He's no longer facing terrorism charges. And of course, the left is celebrating the fact that a man is no longer facing terrorism charges when in fact that's literally what he did. And they're taking away first-degree murder. As if this wasn't a premeditated murder. I mean, what is going on with our justice system? What's up, Disco? Yeah. The left is not a politically violent institution. Here's them celebrating him getting off on a lesser charge, potentially. You might even get off completely. That would be the craziest thing. Free Luigi signs, health over wealth. Well, I guess not when you shoot somebody in broad daylight. That was a CEO that had nothing to do with anything. But yeah, sure, yeah. Let's celebrate political violence. This is a really good thing. The left are actually the good people. It's the right-wingers that don't have empathy and are the violent ones. This is the left celebrating Luigi Mangione. I can't emphasize that enough. That is like the craziest thought. All you have to do is when you argue with people online about the right being violent or the left being violent, just show them a video like this. Do you see right-wingers celebrating a violent people that execute people in broad daylight? Because the left does that. And you're going to try to tell me the right is the side of the aisle that you're supposed to be nervous about or scared about? Are you kidding me, dude? Are you freaking kidding me? These are the kind of things that the state and Fed swap charges for the best prosecution case. Yeah. But just seeing them celebrate this is disgusting. Oh my God. Oh my God. We did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. It's so refreshing to see a murderer get a lesser charge, hopefully. Oh, these are really sweet people. These are really sweet people. Fascism, a little fascism. Remember on the bullet casings for Charlie Kirk, it did say, hey, fascists, catch this. Again, definitely a MAGA. Definitely MAGA. God, I genuinely feel sorry for a lot of these people that believe that this kid, Tyler Robinson, was MAGA. I've seen a lot of prominent streamers online like Destiny talk about how he came from a conservative family. And it's like, that has nothing to do with him. That has nothing to do with him. How did he get radicalized? Oh, I don't know. Maybe his Discord community. Maybe we could just comb through that. That's probably already deleted, but hopefully there's some cache that we can look through. They're always discussing what can you do. Just the thing you can do the most is know that they're just like this way, as opposed to pretending that they're not. You know, call a spade, and quit pretending like it's happening on both sides of the aisle. Shut up with that crap.
Pam Bondi defends a fucking pedophile, so I'm glad this is the result.
You know, that's amazing. But that just shows that we're all together, right? Because they were like, they can't let that shit slide. Yep. Guys, this is on everybody, right? Because we didn't let that shit slide. So you know we didn't let that slide. That's right. Free! Luigi! Free! Luigi! Free! Luigi!
What's up, Richard?
Luigi! Free! Luigi! Free! Luigi! Free! Luigi! Free!
Can you guys get a job? I'm 100% with you, Chucky. Thank you. As you should be. As you should be. Call us freaking spade a spade. Quit playing around with these It happens on both sides. It's a right-wing thing. Shut up. There's one side of the aisle that's celebrating Charlie Kirk being dead, and there's one side of the aisle that's mourning it. That should tell you enough. He's not a right-wing extremist. God, it's so boring. Even Greg Gutfeld on Fox News is like tearing in to anyone and everyone around him. It's honestly really impressive to see him speak his actual mind on Fox News. Impressed they aren't all masked for once. Oh, yeah, I know. Violet, that's an interesting point. So all these leftists that are celebrating Luigi Mangione and their hopes hopefully being free, which I think would be insane if that actually happened. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? They're so confident in their ideology. They're so open with their brazen celebration of Charlie Kirk being killed and Luigi Mangione stuff that they don't care to hide their face anymore. They don't care anymore. They're like, we're proud of this. We're proud to be for violent political things. We're proud of this. That's crazy. It was better when they were hiding their face and they were ashamed of the things that they believed in. Now they don't even care anymore. I think that's like more insane. That's like more depressing. Poor Mario Brothers, take that hat off, dude. Yeah, exactly. That's offensive. But here's Greg Gutfeld just slamming Jessica on Fox 5. Fox 5. God.
Yes, we don't need it. What is interesting here is why is only this happening on the left and not the right? That's all we need to know. There's absolutely no cognitive...
What about Melissa Hortman that we just talked about?
You want to talk about Melissa Hortman? Did you know her name before it happened? None of us did.
The Melissa Hortman thing is not confirmed that it was even for political violence. The guy worked for Tim Walz, okay? And apparently this seems like a very personal attack. And people are saying that the whole murder actually happened because she voted against giving illegals healthcare. And so people are assuming that's what... We don't really actually have a lot of information on this guy that went over and killed all these people. I love that this whataboutism game that the left is playing right now. What about this person? What about that person? What about this person? What about that? It's like, shut up. The minute you start doing that is the minute you are caught and you have no escape. And so you try to push it onto somebody else. Disco Puss says, normal people are waking up to this problem right under the noses, and I love to see it. Look, I have family members who are extreme normies. They don't watch the news. They think it's too overwhelming. It's too overstimulating. And they're waking up to it. And I think that is refreshing to see. You don't feel as alone. Violet says they're way too confident in their views are, well, of course, type mainstream or logical. Yes. And another thing, that's like the thing I want to always get across is that these things are mainstream ideas for the left. This isn't a fringe sort of thing. This is a lot of people. This isn't just a couple people. This isn't like, a few hundred. And they call the Pepe Pelosi attacker a right wing. He was just a total nutball. Yes, exactly. Exactly, dude. Exactly. Okay.
It's happening on the left and not the right. That's all we need to know. There's absolutely no cognitive...
What about Melissa Hortman? That
Pride comes before the fall. Exactly.
Did you know her name before it happened? None of us did. None of us were spending every single day talking about Mrs. Hortman. I never heard of her until after she died.
She doesn't matter?
Don't play that bullshit with me. You know what I'm saying is there was no demonization, amplification about that woman before she died. It was a specific crime against her by somebody who knew her. The same. Now you could bring up Josh Shapiro, but then you will not bring up, for example, that was a pro-Palestine person. So don't use your. What about this? The fact of the matter is the both sides argument not only doesn't fly. We don't care. We don't care about your both sides argument. That shit is dead. For one thing, there is no cognitive dissonance on our side. On your side, you're beliefs do not match reality. So you're coming up with these rationalizations like, what about this? Or what about that? We're not doing that because we saw it happen. We saw a young, bright man.
The what about this game is so ridiculous anyways. Yeah, we watched somebody violently be assassinated in front of hundreds of college kids. That was a premeditated assassination. It's a different circumstance. Crazy.
Assassinated, and we know who did it. We are not coming up with rationalizations. We are calm, we are honest, and we are resolute. We're not defensive, and I understand the defensiveness. I understand why people are saying, what about this and what about this? Because if you have to face the underlying fact to this,
yes,
your life is going to fall apart because you're going to realize you're not the good guys. If you sat around...
You're not the good guys if you defend this or you play whataboutism, period.
And you defended the mutilation of children, you're not the good guys. If you sat 600, 700 cases of harassment against Republicans and you said, but what about this? What about this? And then you see this murder after calling somebody a fascist, you realize maybe I'm not the good guy. That is a hell of a realization to deal with. So therefore, you have to grasp at rationalizations. You don't have to do that, Jessica. They do. I don't believe you're part of that group, but why the hell do you have to mimic and echo that crap to us? He was a patsy. That guy was a patsy. He was under the hypnotic spell of a direct-to-consumer nihilism, the trans cult, and you know that. If you can decide that biology is false, you can agree that murder is okay and that humanity is expendable. How you cannot see that alone and see that for what the evil it is without having to attach all of these other things is beyond me.
I just want to be clear, and I want to let people speak. I in no way intended at all to minimize what happened to Charlie. I was horrified by it. I have not been on the five
but
since
the two
then,
sides argument, well, it's like...
Yeah, but I need to argue about it right now. Looks pre-scripted to me. What do you mean by that? Like he's being disingenuous, or that was just like pre-scripted to for a talking? And how do you know? Just because he's going off, just because he's going off. And here's Don Lemon talking about Charlie Kirk murder too, as well, and assassination. How this guy is building any kind of following is absolutely beyond me.
If someone on the imagine,
yeah, talk to us.
If
okay,
I don't know if any man on the left, who would it be?
Okay, yeah, you don't have anybody on the left to compare to Charlie Kirk, but continue.
Who would a black person on the left went around a black man on the left?
Oh, okay,
or let's just say, I mean, I don't know.
Okay,
some black man on the left.
Okay.
Went around saying, I'm going to pick my friend Michael Eric Dyson. Or I'll pick my friend Roland Martin or someone. If they went around saying white women do not have brain processing power and are stealing jobs from black men.
God. The craziest thing to watch is some of these deep thinking commentators take Charlie Kirk's words out of context and try to label him as some kind of extremist, like he actually hated black people. It's so disingenuous and so illogical. It's depressing to even watch. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, Charlie Kirk hated black people or thought they were all stupid. If you think that, seriously, if you think that, you've never watched any of Charlie Kirk's stuff. There are other commentators that will say that, yes, but not Charlie Kirk.
The right would fucking lose their minds.
Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying, Don, but you know what the right wouldn't do? Is go out and assassinate the guy. You're allowed to have psychotic opinions like this. It is rage-inducing. Oh, Limon.
Mark Lamont Hill. Roland, Michael Eric Dice. Let's just say these brothers, or Bakari Sellers, or someone like that.
The craziest argument as well for me is that you see a lot of these leftists talk about how Charlie Kirk had this like insinuate, like very aggressive or said things that were very divisive and stuff. By them saying that, they are literally saying that the reason he got shot is because he had divisive things to say. So you're putting the blame again on Charlie Kirk. It's a leftist and people like liberals, anytime there's a murder, they don't actually want to put the blame on the guy that's actually pulling the trigger. They want to put the blame on something else. It's not the killer's, the guy that shot him. It's not his fault. It's Charlie Kirk's language that forced this killer to become an evil villain. You see this a lot too. If Donald Trump would just tone down the rhetoric, then maybe we'll tone down the rhetoric. What is Donald Trump saying that is not toning down the rhetoric? That's so bad. That causes somebody to want to do something horrible like that. We're not the same people. Mark Lamont Hill is a psychopath. Mark Lamont Hill is nuts. He is nuts. When he starts screaming and stuff in his debates, it's like, okay. Violet says, I watched a full clip of Kirk explaining how this country was founded in Christian values and it was oppressive. Made me feel better about the concept. As I should. Because of Christian values, every man and woman is free. Because our rights come from God, not from our government. And because of that, they are beholden to God, not our government, which is nice to see. They always want to take God out, but it's like, God is the one keeping you safe, bro. Is this really the guy, or they just want us to think it is? I don't know, Willie. We don't know for sure, but I think I'm seeing this a lot on the right, is like, sometimes the thing right in front of you is the thing. And it doesn't always have to be a conspiracy. And so I would just wait for things to come out, wait for more information to come out. But it's looking like it was this person. And I think every single conspiracy, like I've gone down the rabbit hole of these conspiracies of like, who was the shooter? Was there multiple shooters? Was it Israel? Was it because Charlie Kirk was being pressured to talk more about pro-Israel stuff? I've gone down the rabbit hole of all this stuff. And there's not a lot of things to grasp at the moment on their side of the aisle of the conspiracy. There's a lot more on Tyler. And so I don't know for sure. You don't know for sure. But it seems like Tyler Robinson is the dude, whether he was pressured by outside sources outside of the country or by his own group chat. I think we'll find out more information, but it kind of makes sense why he would do it. You have a kid that is into trans women who are dudes, and Charlie Kirk was very anti-trans, or just said that you have like a mental health issue, or that he doesn't want you to be trans. And so people on that side of the aisle consider that to be hateful, evil, and you want to kill me. And so if you feel that way, you're going to do incredibly horrific things. And if you were crazy, and maybe he did it in order to protect or feel like he's saving his trans girlfriend. It just makes more logical sense. And maybe it's so logical that, of course, that's their way of getting away with it. But I think like maybe this one is just right on the nose, and it's right in front of our faces. But you guys tell me how you feel about that, all the conspiracy rabbit holes. I've gone down them. I haven't been impressed with any of the information that's going around. The one weirdest thing is that of him breaking apart the rifle and running with it in that time period. That one's a little interesting. Everyone else is a little over the edge and crazy, in my opinion. Is this guy, the left is the one who are being divisive and calling President Trump Hitler and a threat to democracy and other BS. Well, of course they are. Because they actually believe that. They actually believe that kind of stuff. It puts the lotion on the hose. I'm waiting for more information. Too much hype as usual. And I think that's fair to do. I think you should wait for more information. I'm waiting for more information, but it definitely points to Tyler Robinson at this point. And I think all the information proves that. But is it that they're trying to want us to think that way? I don't know. I like Patel blaming the brainwashing, not the brainwashing victim. They're going to take another life, though. Disappointed in my species. I think so, too. I think if people don't take what's going on in these online communities, these platforms, these servers, Reddit, if they don't take it seriously enough, more horrible things will happen because these people are very, very violent and they feel very justified. Yeah, what's up, Chris? Yeah. Disco says they have to say that the communication and DNA, etc., anything can be faked, but it seems pretty tight case. I mean, I agree. Like, it just seems, everything seems to be lining up, you know? And there's like a weird thing among some, I think it's just it's the right side internet culture. We like to just assume we're being told everything's a lie. And sometimes it is a lie and sometimes it's right on the money. Jessica said, I think he did it, but he had been hunting since he was a kid. He knew
Willie's Desert Hangout super chatted $2. Derek O'Shea Show, appreciate your insight as usual.
Hey, thanks, Will. I appreciate the $2 super chat, my friend. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat, Willie. I just want to be honest with you guys. Like, there are too many online commentators who are just like, everything's black and white. I have the real truth. I'm going to be really honest with you. And everyone else is lying to you. Here's what really actually happened. I'm like, you guys don't know anything. You don't know anything, and you're just grifting off your audience and trying to create a narrative. And then you could be like, I was always the guy that told you it was Israel.
Willie's Desert Hangout sent a super chat for $2 and included the message.
Dear
Derek O'Shea Show, appreciate your insight as usual.
Thank you so much for the $2 super chat, my friend.
If they went around saying some shit like that, they would be canceled immediately. They would be fired. People would scrub them from their whatever business that they work for. Or if they said, when I get on a plane and I see a white pilot, I'm like, damn, we're going to, I'm worried.
God, it's like these liberals purposely take Charlie Kirk out of context to make him look bad. Why did Charlie Kirk say that about black pilots? Because there was reports that were coming out that all these airlines were pushing DEI stuff and allowing pilots who didn't necessarily live up to the standards or wasn't smart enough, and they were trying to push so that they could have more black people as pilots. And so it thus logically makes you feel like, oh, because the person's black, they might have necessarily not passed the test as well. And then there was like this one report going around saying that people were giving answers to a lot of these pilots on these tests. God, it's so disingenuous, dude. It's so disingenuous.
Imagine what it would be like. And so now you are trying to, make someone into something that they simply were not. And by saying that, you might think that I'm taking glee in his death. Well, that's not you. Most people wouldn't think that. Most rational people don't think that. Most people who don't think through a right-wing, crazy MAGA brain ideology will understand that you can say, I'm sorry for what happened to him. I don't believe that anyone should die that way. I don't think he deserved that.
Yeah, but by you saying that he was inflammatory, you're essentially saying it's because he was inflammatory this happened.
I have empathy for his family and his children and all of that.
Chris says there was actually recorded proof of people cheating on pilot tests. I saw that report. I'm telling you. And then when you go into a pilot and you're going to fly, it makes the mind wonder. Even if I was a black person, I would still feel that way. Imagine lowering the standards and cheating. Yeah, exactly.
But yet,
his logic is so painful to witness. Yeah. Are you talking about him or me?
I don't understand this other part. I mean, would you do that around other people in history who made awful remarks like that? So for people who are making sense and trying to explain it to you and then putting his own words up for you to try to get you to understand, like, you're doing too much here. And I'm going to tell you why. It has nothing to do with your core beliefs or that he was as Glenn Beck said, whatever the fuck is crazy, that he was some sort of civil rights icon or civil rights leader. No, because he didn't believe the same things I believed. Shut up, Don. God, go back to your TikTok, bro.
Lemon is DEI. Yeah, we need to find out what's going on with Don Lemon and the DEI scandal. JD Vance yesterday took over the Charlie Kirk show. I don't know if a lot of you saw JD Vance talking during the Charlie Kirk show, but there was one moment with JD Vance. He started talking about how some deranged leftist got in his face and started screaming at his child about his own father. Now that's psychotic and crazy, but also it's also crazy to even go to Disneyland and take your children there. Both can be crazy at the same time. Lemon is hard to get some attention. Yeah, exactly. But it's too hard to learn to fly an airplane. That is true. That is true. What up, Doe? Love your show. R.I.P. Charlie Kirk to go. We are inspired. Let's go. I like all the rhymes. What's up, DJ? Why is Don gay? He was born that way. I don't know. He's got some child trauma. Repeal the Civil Rights Act and bring back freedom of association. I've never been to Disneyland, says JR. Prove it.
A couple of months ago, I headlined a fundraiser in Southern California, and since, we'd be out there anyways, my wife and I decided to take our kids to Disneyland one weekend. We had fun, and to be clear, most of the guests said very nice things, or they just left us alone. But there was a loud and very vocal minority that would shout at my children, who were 8, 5, and 3, whenever they got the opportunity. "You should disown your dad, you little shit," one middle-aged woman yelled at my 5-year-old. "Tell the Secret Service to protect the Constitution, not your father," screamed another. Are these women violent? Probably not.
No, they are.
Are they deranged? Certainly. And while our side of the aisle certainly has its crazies, it is a statistical fact that most of the lunatics in American politics today are proud members of the far left. After Charlie died, one of his friends and one of our senior White House staffers had left-leaning operatives in his neighborhood passing out leaflets telling people what he looked like and where he lived, encouraging neighbors to harass him or, God forbid, to do worse. While he was mourning his dead friend, he and his wife had to worry about the political terrorists drawing a big target on the home he shares with his young children. Are these people violent? I hope not. But are they guilty of encouraging violence? You damn well better believe it.
No. JD, they are violent, bro. They are violent, and they're violent in a passive-aggressive way. By doxing you, by putting up your information everywhere. They're passive-aggressively saying that, hey, I'm putting threats on your life, by allowing somebody else to do the job for me. They're violent in their own passive-aggressive way. Nothing creeps me more out than adult Disney people. I totally agree. I can't agree anymore. They're good people. Shut up. They just want to be in Fantasyland, and Peter Pan never wants to grow up. Okay? Peter Pan are good people. The brain is a leftist. The brain in a leftist is different than the brain of a conservative. I would say the big difference between a conservative and a leftist is emotional regulation. Leftism pushes to encourage emotional dysregulation, and if you are emotionally dysregulated, it's due to a power structure, and therefore you need to fight against the power structure. Whereas a conservative would see emotional dysregulation or emotional regulation as something to work on internally and find ways to cope with that emotional dysregulation. Where the left sees it as encouraged and rightfully feeling so, that those feelings are because of injustices. And through injustices, you need to take action. That's what they believe. A lot of them. I don't want to say all because I don't believe in absolutes, but majority, a good majority. I think that's a big difference. And it's sad to see. It's not a helpful thing. If you're a leftist, if you're on the left and you struggle with being emotionally dysregulated and you go off the rails and you think that a good coping skill is not trying to calm down and have civil discourse or find ways to cope when you feel that way, and it's in fact that you should just lash out, this is like what a child does, and that is not helpful. Nice to catch you live, Derek. I was at the rally in London. Dude, nice. That's awesome. Did you see Tommy Robbins? I forget how that cheer goes. I'm so jealous of English people and their singing. I'm a jealous American. We don't sing in our sports, okay? You guys sing. That's a beautiful thing. That's cool to see. I love your chants. Your chants are hilarious. Remember when Don Lemon said that the plane that disappeared might have been disappeared in a black hole? Yes. Yes, dude. Don Lemon. The left likes to pretend like they don't have conspiracy theorists on their side. We're the highly educated people. The left is full of education and rationality and deeper thinking. At the same time, did that plane go through a black hole or something? The whole core is well, it's justified when I do it. Oh, you're talking about the left mentality? I totally agree. Yeah, it's justified due to injustices. They are very big on injustice. That is like a big thing that they're about. Injustices. And therefore I can be a social justice warrior in which I can be violent because I am I'm a victim of this society and this power structure dynamic. It's crazy. That's not God. That breeds like crazy amount of paranoia and the amount of sociopaths online who just don't care about. I think that's like the scariest thing for me is watching some of my friends' reaction. I went when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I was all over Twitter. I was over online sources looking at online, but I was like deeply afraid about opening up Facebook. I was like deeply afraid to open Facebook and see what my actual friends that I'm friends with online are saying about this. Because I was like, if I open this up, I know I'm going to see people that I love or I have relationships with that are going to have some of the most unhinged takes. And I am afraid to see that. And then I did it. And it was exactly what I thought it would be. And it's just kind of like gut-wrenching to see how many people feel justified in their sociopathic thinking and speaking of like, I don't care, who gives a shit? Like, who cares? Who gives a crap? This guy's a piece of crap. It's like, or like, oh, thank God he deserved it. He was like so violent with his words. It's just like stuff like that. You're just like, God, dude, really? You think that, man? I thought you were like a little bit smarter than the average online goon. But you're not. And that was depressing to see. We need a Derek O'Shea rally song. Dude, I would love a Derek O'Shea. We need the English to come up with one. Our federal courts are full of injustices. Yeah, that is true. Disco said, I used to love London, but don't think I'd go back now. I want to go to a Manchester United game so bad, but I'm so nervous about going to Manchester. Because I know Manchester is like a little bit of a hellhole right now. It's just reflexive ignorance. Yeah, that could be it. I think a lot of people are ignorant, and I think you're seeing that online too by people misrepresenting Charlie Kirk quotes right now, as if that's what's justified in him being assassinated. Sorry. I think people are misrepresenting him, and that's why you see this on the media a lot, saying things like, "Oh, if you look at the, it's happening on both sides of the aisle." It's happening on, it's like, that is such a misrepresenting lie, and you know you're doing it on purpose. Kristen says, I don't think these people should be fired unless they hold a power position such as a teacher, managers, or in a life-saving nurses, doctors. If you're in the bottom level factory worker, then don't fire. I get that stance, Kristen, but I also, if I was a company and I had somebody that worked for me, I don't care if it was like cleaning poop off the sidewalk, and I knew deep down inside this guy was gloating and thankful that this guy was publicly assassinated in front of hundreds of children and posted online in front of his family and kids, and now is leaving a widow and 2 children, and he is happy about it, I would fire him. I would fire him in a second, because I don't want to work with that kind of person. I don't want that person representing my company. I don't want that person talking to my customers. I don't want that person anywhere near me. This isn't like I'm not taking the vaccine because I think the vaccine is full of nanodes that are going to take over my body. That's sure, you can think that way. This is like, I just can't believe people even have the argument of like, I'm pro murder. Will you still hire me? like, no, dude, I'm not hiring you. Stay away from me. stay as far away from me as you possibly can. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that person as a company, because what does that say about their mentality? What does that say about the way in which they want to work? It's just like, and a lot of these states are right to work states anyways. I have this like weird conspiracy that I'm going to do more thinking on, but I have this theory when it comes to people being fired. And I've always thought this, that a lot of these people at these companies have been wanting to fire for a long time. I think there's this weird thing in a lot of company culture that it's hard to fire people these days because of race. Like they don't want to be called racist or transphobic or hateful in any way. So a lot of these companies don't actually have the balls to fire people, and they kind of phase people out, or they do mass firings. And so I think a lot of these people were on the chopping blocks anyways, and now you're giving companies a reason to fire you. Like, that's what I think. I think a lot of these people are not good workers anyways. I feel for you, Derek. I feel for you too, Kristen. People in position impose a culture. That is true. Lots of people are very ignorantly opinionated based on what the news primes them to think. That is true. Well, especially people that don't actually like dive into the news. Dude, like, I don't know if you're like me. Like, you and I, if you're in this chat, you dive into the news. That's just the reality. I realize that. And so I'm the same way. When you get around normies and they start talking about politics and news, I always have this like discussion in my head, like, how deep do I want to go today? How do I actually want to take them there and really drop some knowledge bombs or some ideas or some truth bombs on these people? Or is it even worth a discussion? I always have that idea in my head of like, people are like, Derek, what do you think about the whole Charlie Kirk murder? And I'm just like, how much time do you have? Like in my head, because I could go for a while, and I could say things that maybe will make you think a little differently of me. Violet says, I'm not down with the doxing, but the idiots celebrating this with their public info available. Yeah, snitch away. Hey, Violet, this is a reactionary culture. Okay, the left canceled people for a long time, and the left canceling is totally different than the right. Okay, the left was canceling like people like Kevin Hart because he had a joke about how he hopes his son doesn't grow up to be gay. And then the Emmys and stuff, I forget, was it Emmys or Oscars that he was supposed to present, and they decided not to use him anymore because the joke got resurfaced. They were getting rid of people and canceling people from a joke from 10 years ago, and these people are gloating about murder online right now. This is a totally different circumstance, and wishing your son didn't grow up gay versus celebrating somebody's public assassination like that, if they think that's the same, you can't talk to these people. And you can't help them. If they think that's equivalent, that is freaking nuts. That is freaking nuts. If they say that about someone they never meant, what do you think they'll say about you behind your back? That is true. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to have deep friendships with people like this. I think it's okay to, be acquaintances and maybe hopefully change your mind in some ways. I do take the Charlie Kirk model on that. I'm friends with a lot of people I disagree with, and a lot of people I think are evil. But, Julie, what's up? I appreciate you stopping in. I'm friends with a lot of people that are evil, but I think like being in close contact, maybe having your kids around them, I think that's dangerous. You don't want that. And also, if you're a teacher and you're teaching young minds and your first thought is to gloat over a public assassination, you should be freaking fired. That's freaking nuts. But they see it as a negative thing because it's like, I'm a social justice warrior, and so therefore I'm vindicated in my violent rhetoric because I'm going against the public institutions. No, you're nuts. Willie says, I only get my news from Derek O'Shea Show. Thanks, man. Willie, I just want you to know I keep you in mind when I put my show together, and I think sometimes I'm like, I'm not going to talk about that because everybody's already talked about that. But then I think about you saying things like, I only get my news from you, man. And so I'm like, okay, so I realize that there are people that are chronically online like me, and then there are people that don't watch a lot of news, so I need to find a balance in the middle. So I just want you to know I think about you when it comes to that. I need all this BS process for me. Yeah, we need to talk about this sort of things. That's important. I always say to myself, how deep can Derek go today? Dude, Yellow Snowman, I can go as deep as you want. Sometimes I like just being goofy and funny and off the cuff and lighthearted, but some days this is a tough subject to make jokes over, you know, as it should be. As it freaking should be. Violet says, oh no, I didn't even think about how insufferable my coworkers would have been over this. I have been fired alongside. Dude, Violet, I don't blame you. Yeah, having coworkers who celebrate this is God. That's like the hardest part about working in an office, isn't it? Or working at a company or working at a restaurant or something like that, is working with some of these people. And you're like, if it kind of makes you afraid to speak up because you know how violent they are. You know, if you're gloating and celebrating violence like this, you speaking up could really bring a lot of violence in your life. And I totally understand either way, whether you talk about it or not. About my 15th gun, says Disco Puss 15. Why stop there? Go to 20. I have 20 guns. 15. Dude, I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous. There's no rationale with them. No, because it's a cult and it's a religion. Once things become about faith, it's hard to have a rational conversation with people. It's just like people can't talk me out of my core beliefs because a lot of my core beliefs are stemmed in faith. So you're not going to win that battle, despite what evidence you propose to me. Wandered in here, act randomly. Impress me, Derek. Deliver variable Fox, please. I don't know when you started, but I hope you cover your headline topics. Active Guardian, what's up, man? I like that. Impress me. Sway me with your beliefs. Dance monkey. Give me all the facts. I don't get the news from you. I get my humanity entertainment from you. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that, dude. I'll take that. That's what this podcast is about. Humanity and entertainment. I hope I'm fun, but also, you know, I take very seriously as factually honest as I possibly can. My plan is never to lead you down a rabbit hole that doesn't have grounding and then delete all my videos in which I write about or I publish. I don't want to be that podcast. The Onion News is my only source for information next to DOS. Thank you. Is this the real Satanism? It is real Satanism, yeah. Mix of rifles, pistols, handguns, you know. That's nice. I usually like to watch you while doing chores. I know, you always watch me while you mow the lawn. I appreciate that. What do you think about the pressure on Charlie from Netanyahu and America as wealthy as Zios? I think that is interesting. I think all that information is interesting. I am not totally convinced it has anything to do with the murder of him. But I think as time goes, we'll see what actually happens from that. But I think he was under a lot of pressure. And I think people were getting mad at Charlie Kirk for a lot of his new opinions and just having a discussion about that sort of thing. You know, there are certain topics in the world you're not allowed to discuss. There are certain topics. So I can see that. You seem fun. I wish I had more time for fun. We have a good time. We have a good time here. We have a great time here. Just had to remove some steel joints. The London rally was very decent. I bumped into Gavin McGinnis. What? You should have made him buy you a beer. Doesn't that guy drink Bud Light all the time or something? I don't know what he's drinking. All right, guys, I'm going to go to work. I have to go to work. We'll go live tonight, though. Don't worry. We're going live tonight. We're going live tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Come hang out with us. I know it's the same time as Tim Pool. Sorry. But we'll go live tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. I have a lot more videos to show you. Well, I'm going to try to do a little bit more deep dive on this Trans Tifa chapter in Salt Lake City and the potential connection between the shooter, the alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, and his trans boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. I'm going to do more information on that. We'll see what actually comes up from that. Pryor, thank you, man. Job interview in 10 minutes. Disco, remember, the number one tip for a job interview, man. Ask the people that are interviewing you what they like about their job so you allow them to talk about themselves. It works every single time. I've gotten a job every single time. Ask them in the interview, say, what is the thing you like about this job most? Allow them to talk about themselves. You got this, Disco. You got this, bro. Starbucks invented the pumpkin spice latte just to do white people like it's autumn. Yeah. Hey, cheers. Appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys live later tonight. Drop a like on this video if you don't mind. And if you're new on Rumble, thank you so much for being here. We have a great community here. We have fun. I go live on YouTube, Rumble, and X. Come hang out. Wish apples were more popular than pumpkins for fall sometimes. Let's change that. Let's change that narrative, Violet.